Good morning, peeps. How are we doing, Sam? United People's TV. Sometimes I'm doing that just before the live show starts because that tune catches me off guard. Today was one of those days. That is an absolute jam, isn't it? You know, if we ever do a live show, which we are doing, we're going to have that as a walkout song. Or maybe the old one. It's too many songs. Anyway, good morning. Let's run through the latest news. We're going to be speaking about Onana, his medical. That's all done and dusted. We can now close the door. Well, the medical's not done and dusted, but it's booked in for later this week. We're going to have a conversation about January transfer signings after Fabrizio's video yesterday, and it kind of leads into a video I want to do on Carlos Baleba at lunchtime today, which I think is quite an important video to do. We'll also speak about the latest news around football, speak about Postecoglou, speak about Nuno, speak about the Hall of Fame. 7, I think, United players who are nominated. You can let me know who you'd vote for a little bit later in the show. And yeah, as always, fire in your comments, because if you send in good comments and you interact and you engage with the community, you can kind of steer the conversation of the show. That's just the truth. Sometimes we go on segues depending on how good your comments are. So let me see who's here from the mod and the members gang, and let's get on with it. And I'll say it one more time. Actually, no, I'll say this a few more times. I'm so happy that the usernames are back. I'm so happy. It makes it so much easier for me to read who is here. Let's have a look. We got Carl, we got Stephanie, we got Ant, we've got Gungshi. Good morning to you, buddy. We've got Thomas, we've got Richie, a couple of non-members there. We've got Saar, we've got Carl Bowers, and some members too. We've got Fred Cranham, we've got Phil. Not going to film a cavity. That's an old one. Was it Phil McCracken? That was a good one. That was a classic. James Wilson, good morning to you. Rex, we've got Carl, and plenty of other faces as well. Let's get on with today's show. And there's definitely a talking point. You know what I do at the start of each show? I kind of like, if there's big stories happening around football, we'll have a conversation about those. And you can't ignore this one. Is he the first manager to get sacked in the Premier this season? Have I completely forgetting someone? Ten Hag got sacked. Was he the first manager in like the top 5 leagues to get sacked this season? Don't actually know. But what was it, like 1 a.m. in the morning? 12:15 at night. Forest like burying bad news in the middle of the night. I don't really know. Anyway, Nuno's been sacked by Forest, which is the least surprising news in the world. I think he fell out with Edu, who's the new football director there. And then Marinakis is an absolute whopper of a man. Sod working for that guy. But anyway, sort of, it's a bigger, would you say like it's a bigger bit of news? I wouldn't say it's a bigger bit of news, but this. Forest are going up for Postecoglou, and he's going to be in a dugout for the game that's on Saturday. Football, man. You can't help but love it. Even when United are as crap as they are, you're just never short of talking points, never short of conversation with pals, never short of conversation. It's just mad, isn't it? Robbie saying it's been on the cards for ages. Yeah, it has been on the cards for ages. But they've moved quickly for Postecoglou. I really hope that doesn't work out for them. Postecoglou's clearly I think he's a manager you can get behind. Giggity. I hope it doesn't work out for Forest, and I hope they go crumbling down the league. That'll be fun. True Broski saying Forest downgrading hard. Nuno got them from, if I remember correctly, I think Forest were like 16th under Steve Cooper when Nuno came in. And it goes to show, like, we talk about, like, is that ruthlessness? I think that's just like a clash in relationships. It's kind of like Dan Ashworth wasn't bad in his job at all at Manchester United, but Dave Brailsford just got that so spectacularly wrong in appointing a man where it clashed. And clearly Nuno and Edu just clashed because from a managerial perspective, he took them to, 3 points behind City last year? They were in 3rd for the majority of the year. It's going to be interesting to see how Forest switch their play, because Forest have been like the transitional team in the league, haven't they? They've sat deep and then they've hit hard on the counter. Whereas Postecoglou at Spurs was always about aggressive, open football, going crazy, conceding 3 but trying to score 5. Really hope it doesn't work out for them. Let's find out. Someone down there saying, as an Aussie, I hope it works out for him. Yeah, he seems like a nice dude. Nuno did the closest thing to Ranieri's Leicester. That's never going to happen again. Going from, this is going to be a great shift. Segue there, didn't even plan this one. Going from a nice guy to, I just want to say, like, is there a bigger, like, just despicable man in football? I'm saying this, like, I'm trying to take my United specs off here because obviously we've got history. But this is a man who was found guilty of racially abusing Patrice Evra on the pitch. This is a man who bit someone directly on the pitch. And now this is a man that spits on someone on the pitch. Like, what else is he going to do? Is he going to shit on someone's chest? I don't know. Is there a bigger scumbag in football than Suarez? Someone let me know. I don't think there is. Still blows my mind that Liverpool players all came out in those T-shirts. Jeez, you could do a mini-doc on that. You really could do a mini-doc on that whole... I think that's actually quite a good idea. I might write that down. Mini-doc on Evra and Suarez. Idea mid-life. There you go. You've got to write these things down sometimes, or you might forget about them. Properly disgusting human being. Cleveland steamer. Jeez, it's 10 o'clock in the morning here. Come on, people. I shouldn't be saying that. Anyway. Let's move on. And let's move on to something which is not exactly going to cheer you up. But this, you've got to talk about this. You see this news yesterday. It came from the Times. Premier League backs down in sponsorship row with Manchester City. But just read that little subtitle. The Premier League will let Man City complete a lucrative new Etihad deal, and in return, City have dropped their legal challenge against new rules on associated party transactions. So you let them do the deal, which the associated party transactions are there to stop. And because you let them do said deal, they'll let you make changes to the rules. Huh? How's that work? How's that work? I mean, I'm laughing, but it's not funny. It's what we all... This isn't to do with 115 charges, by the way. That's still a separate conversation. But I'll tell you one thing. Out of all of this, one thing that we have definitely learned about the Premier League is they really are kind of, for want of a better phrase, it feels like they're kind of making it up on the spot. Because when they get to this sort of legal front, like you'd think if they've prepared like a 9-year document with 115 charges against City, like you'd think that they'd have everything like really in order, really in check, and the associated party transactions, everything legally is watertight. And I mean, they're clearly bloody not. Because City's lawyers have been able to go in there, pick it apart, pull it apart, and now they've, a little handshake. It's kind of like agreeing before you go into, I think that's what it was actually. Wasn't it agreement before it went to a tribunal? Did they reach a settlement? That's exactly what it was. It was a settlement pre-court. Pre-tribunal? And look, it enables them to now complete a hugely lucrative long-term deal with Etihad Airways. But interesting thing down here, right? Look at the value of it. Well, they actually haven't got an exact value on it yet, but this is an interesting conversation. Where is it? I read it somewhere else. I'll just scroll past it. I must have done. Anyway, I was reading that the deal with Etihad Airways, which will be for the stadium and for the shirt naming rights, it's going to be worth anything up to £1 billion over a 10-year period. It's 100 mil a season. Now, if I'm correct here, and I might be wrong on this one, isn't the deal that we've just signed with Adidas worth 90 mil a season just for the shirts? Am I right or wrong on that? I might be inflating that a little bit. But we're talking about City, we're talking about the shirts and the stadium, both combined for a bill. I swear Man United was worth that much. Man United sign new Adidas deal. Man United sign new Adidas deal. There you go. It was actually bang on. Beep, 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 beep. Where is it? Where's the announcement of this? There you go. 2023. Man United agreed 10-year deal extension, 10-year extension with Adidas worth at least 900 mil. So it's actually, I think the point I'm trying to make is City getting a 10-year deal with Etihad Airways, who of course bloody own their club anyway, which that's why it's always been a bit fishy. But them getting a 10-year deal for the stadium and the shirt naming rights for 100 mil. Bit weird. And you're talking about Adidas getting bulk of profits from shirt sales. I think that's kind of a fair point as well. I don't think United get too much from the shirt sales, do they? I suppose it's a little bit different from kit manufacturer to just kit sponsor because we've got TeamViewer on top of that too. Yeah, I suppose they are kind of different deals, aren't they? Yeah, fair. Either way, piss off City. You cheating scumbags. The rich get richer. That's not a thing in football. That's just a thing in, I suppose, capitalism. It's boring, really. Anyway, I very much doubt that those 115 charges stick, and I think that's kind of what we've grown to see here. That when push comes to shove, the Premier League and the Premier League sort of legal documents, if you want to call it, are not watertight enough. Because City's lawyers so far have been able to find holes in everything to the point where they're making settlements. Aiden is saying time to get an Ineos sponsorship. Remember, I did a video on this as well. We're talking about how United can afford new signings, and we now obviously have found out since that United have increased the credit facility, but United said they were going to announce 3 new sponsors. Now, Coca-Cola was one of them. Can't remember what the second one was. It was a really weird one. But I don't think that third one ever came in. Aspirin, you're saying City also signed a $1 billion deal with Puma. Yeah, well, I'm probably just getting my numbers wrong then because I'm thinking about kit manufacturers rather than kit sponsors. Yeah, fair enough. My bad. Of course they were going to get away with 115 charges. Was it 116 charges? It was even more. Anyway, Onana. Let's speak about some good news as far as United fans are concerned. He's completed his move in the fact that the contracts are signed. It's all sealed. It's all completed. Trabzonspor and United have countersigned all the contracts. Everything is written in ink. Onana is now a Trabzonspor player, as long as he passes his medical. And that's what this is here. Onana is expected to travel to Turkey for Trabzonspor loan move, and that's going to be taking place on Thursday. And the medical is already booked. So, Onana's gone, ladies and gents. Onana is gone. Happy days indeed. I'm sure you all saw this yesterday, because I got sent this plenty of times. 102 games and you conceded 150 goals. My God. My God. And you're saying the other deal was with Sokin? Sokin? Probably not Sokin. Very different company. Anyway, the third one's not been announced yet. So where's that? Oh. I defended Onana. I will continue to do that with United players, by the way. I will defend them sort of in the face of, I suppose, others that might not give up on them, but I'm supposed to give up on them, really. I'll continue to do that with United players. It might sometimes make me look stupid. But it's just kind of like my natural position on how I support United players and how I am as a fan. And what I do with the platform here. Would you say... I think we might have already had this conversation before. But I really do think expectation versus reality Like, Onana might be the biggest example of it. There's going to be a few of you that come in and mention Di Maria. I actually think Di Maria was that good at the very start. Remember that goal he scored against Leicester? But Louis van Gaal was like the absolute opposite manager that you could possibly have had for Di Maria. Like, Van Gaal was a manager who told everybody to, instead of taking a shot first time in the box, take a touch first because you increase your chances. So, like, kind of taking the instinctive aspect away from footballers. It was a complete opposite style of manager. Onana. The expectation versus reality, man. Sancho was worse. Yeah, Sancho's got to be right up there as well, actually. That's a tough one. Who was a worse disappointment? Sancho or Onana? It's probably going to be Sancho, isn't it? Someone's saying Sanchez as well. Hey, look, man, with Sanchez, let's be totally honest. Only reason he signed for us is because we gave him more money than City. And that was a red flag in itself. And that might be captain hindsight speaking. And it felt good to beat City to a signing. Yes, it did. But he literally turned his back on the team that were clearly going to be competing for the title to United simply for more money and playing a piano. Someone down there saying, I feel for Anthony. I said, no, ever. Yeah, Sancho's worse. You're all right. Right, let's move on. Can't be able to speak about him no more. Actually, that's a lie. I'm going to speak about him now. The video I did yesterday, I know it was a slightly different one, but I felt like I wanted to do it. And I'm going to sort of pick out a few of the comments from that you left on the video. So if you haven't watched it, the video I did yesterday was kind of running through all the players who have left, totting up their wages and seeing how much United saved on a wage bill. Now, I did use Copology, and I don't fully trust their numbers, so I took 25% off as sort of like a discrepancy, saying, well, okay, but let's say they're 25% accurate either way. And we got to nearly £1 million a week that we saved on wages. Now, something that was fair from a few comments that were left saying, hold on, Sam, if you're trying to look at the net saving in wages, then you have to add in all the wages of the new signings. I wasn't really trying to show. I suppose that could have been a good way to extend the video when you think about it. But I was more showing like the focus on the exits and how much waste United got rid of. If you're adding in the new wages, who have you got? Cunha and Bumo. They're probably on the best part of 200 grand each, aren't they? Let's be totally honest. I don't think Šeško will be too far off, but a little bit less. And Lomans will be on a decent. He'll be fine. Someone's saying he didn't add Malacia. I didn't add Malacia because right now he's not sold, so kind of be foolish for me to do that. United have made a big net savings in wages. I would probably argue, I'm guessing somewhere in the region of 400 grand a week. Ish. When you add in all the sales that we made, all the exits, and you take off the money that came from signings, it's got to be somewhere in the region of that. Every single week on wages. What's that? 400 grand a week, 1.6 mil a month, times 12, 16 mil, plus 3.2. 19.2 mil. That's so much money. If United, if you want to give me 10% of that, I'm fine with that. I'll give you my bank details. Yeah, wages that would not contribute to the team. I think that's what I would agree with Carl. It was just wastage. And then next summer, like someone's already mentioned it down there. Like, did I mention it at the end of the video? I'm not sure I did. You got Casemiro and Shaw. Like together, those two are what? $500,000? I think. Definitely, in fact. Casemiro and Shaw are $500,000. Add in, I think Maguire's going to be leaving. That's best part of 200 grand. You're probably going to be getting towards $1 million as well next summer in wages saved. Man, we really are cutting the fat off this club and hopefully making room for players like this. Now let's have a conversation. Right? Let's have a conversation. It's not as if we haven't had this conversation 5, 10, 15 times already this summer. And we know exactly what United wanted to do. We saw it play out in real time. I was in a McDonald's drive-thru when Ornstein dropped a little Baleba bomb, and I was fuming because I was in a passenger seat, wasn't driving. Try not to spill the Fanta. You got to get Fanta. Got back and we had a little chat. But United weren't able to get him. We turned his head, and I'm going to be watching his games closely this season just to see how he plays between now and January. I'll give you more sort of my opinion and a few things I want to say in the lunchtime video, but I want to run through Fabrizio's little comment here from his... Did him dirty with that one. Anyway, sorry Fabrizio. Right, this is what he said yesterday about United's January signings.
Because the interest on Baleba remains. But just in general, just to clarify, Man United maintained the idea to add one more player in midfield. It wasn't possible this summer, but Manchester United maintained the idea to do one more signing in the January transfer window. Might be more based on the opportunities, on the injuries, on the table and all the rest. But a new midfielder is expected to join Manchester United in 2026. We will see if it's going to be a top player immediately like Baleba. It's not going to be easy, I think, in January, but maybe for the summer. Or if they find an opportunity, like was Conor Gallagher in the final days of the window, but Atletico Madrid said no. But for sure, the idea to add one more midfielder to the squad is still there. It's something that Man United will discuss in the next months. And so let's follow the situation. Let's see what happens. Let's see also the season of Kobbie Mainoo. But for sure, Man United keep thinking internally.
Keep thinking internally. It's actually a little bit of a whiffy video. It's kind of like kind of saying everything, really. About Baleba, all that. Maybe they'll go after an opportunity like Gallagher. I think it's quite clear with Baleba, right, that if United... I might be wrong on this one, but if United want him, we have to get him in January. I think that's an absolute given. And I kind of feel, and again, this is definitely going to piss Brighton off. The way that United... Do you think... Okay, curious question. Do you think United did anything wrong in our approach towards Baleba in the summer? In kind of how we went about it? And it's just, it happens in modern transfers. We spoke about it so often about tapping up and this and that. But clearly clubs do it, and it's quite normal now. So we approached through intermediaries Baleba to see if he'd be interested in a move. Never approached Brighton, not for a week or two. And, I mean, the answer was clearly yes. And his head was turned. United waited and waited, and then we went through and we then spoke to Brighton directly, I think it was, and they told us about the price, and we said, oh, okay, hands off now. Let me see what you're saying down here. Mo, Elvis, no, you're saying no, so Siraj as well. And Billy, you're saying no too. John, you're saying nothing that other clubs haven't done. Yeah, I don't particularly think that we did anything really, really wrong. Siegs, you're saying no, but Brighton will make United pay for it. I think Brighton will make anybody pay for it. So there's actually two videos I want to do off the back of this. One is going to be a lunchtime video today around Baleba and around just something I feel quite important to say about going after him in January. And the second video I want to do is, you remember when I did my Dream Summer Window video, I spoke about Adam Wharton. He was actually the name that was on my list. Wharton or Baleba? I'm not exactly fussy. I'll take both of them because they're both incredible players. But I said, what I would love for United to do is find the next Baleba or Wharton before they cost 70, 80, 90, 100, 110 mil. So that's what that second video is going to be. So that, like, if you're United right now, I think what's clear is that Baleba's still going to be the top choice. That's who United want. And I stand by this when I look at all the summer signings we made, and I will stand by it when I see United getting linked with Baleba. We're going after players who just would be good club signings. I don't think we're particularly going after specialists that will only work in an Amorim system. And if it doesn't work out in the future, we're left with a massively mismatched squad. No, I think all those players fundamentally are just very good footballers that will be able to adapt to different systems. And I see him as that same sort of signing. But if United have got 4 months now to find that next one, now, and you're saying down there we haven't got the luxury of waiting for the next anyone right now. Well, who's to say the next one isn't already out there, right? When Brighton sold Caicedo to Chelsea, Baleba came straight in, and there wasn't really a settling in period. He was just very good straight away. Came from Liga, very physical league. So I'm going to do some research with the lads in the team and say, like, are there like 2 or 3 players right now that are maybe playing in Europe's top 5 leagues that are already senior footballers in the fact that they're playing top-level football that could potentially be the next Baleba or be the next Wharton? That's the video we're going to do. Because, look, we've got months until January. So this is the sort of stuff that our scouting department should be doing. They found Senny Lamons because they dived into the data and they identified that he was the man. The data won't tell you everything. You know that. You need the eye test combined with the data. But I think what the data allows you to do, and I think we've mentioned this before, using data properly in modern football, it allows you to create a more accurate shortlist. So instead of having 50 scouts giving you 50 names and you go, man, he could be good, he could be good, he could be good, he could be good. And then you go, well, what do I do? You kind of got to whittle it down. The data will do that first layer for you. It will go, actually, here's your shortlist. This is what you need to do. And then you scout deeper into those. So you probably look at less players, more in depth, than more players, less in depth. So you should find out more about the players. I think that's how data should and is used in modern football. Billy, don't give me when life gives you lemons, because it's not lemons. I know it sounds good, and I might. I think United actually did that. You probably should have asked him how you pronounce his name first, lads. Because it's not lemons. We need Agent Mbumo for Baleba. Well, Mbumo rang him. Onana rang him. Hopefully he didn't pick up. Onana's call. And Yora rang him because they were teammates at Lille. Kone's pathway is going to be over at least 3 seasons before the first team. Lads, like, I'm all for youth progression. I'm all for pathways. Bringing Sekou Kone into that central midfield right now, given what we need and the expectations, would be the exact same as dropping like Eli Harrison in goal. Really, really good, talented young player, but I mean, I suppose he's had a loan spell at Chester. Like, it could work, but that would be a heck of a responsibility to put on young shoulders. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to do that video. Trying to see if we can identify 2 or 3, maybe the next Baleba or the next Wharton. Gavin is saying the data does not look at their character or ability to handle the pressures of this club. That was the genius of Fergie, but that's why it's what I mean. Data is a supportive measure in signing players. Data isn't everything. Data can cut out a lot of the crap and can kind of, not a shortcut's the wrong way, but just allow you to more accurately trim down. Anyway, data has to be one part of it. Another part is still the eye test. Another part is still recommendations. And all these things have to combine. But United just haven't used data, really, for a long time. We know that. Darren saying we're ramping up our scouting. It's going to take time for it to bear fruit. We got Chris Vavell in it, and it's probably one of the things he's strongest at, isn't it? I mean, I think we were already looking at Sekou Kone when he played, was it under-17s World Cup with Mali? I think. What we're saying down here in the chats. I hope to see Baleba and Mainu midfield pairing in the future. Man, that still sounds awesome. David is saying still have a bit of hope for Dan Gore. Unfortunately, I think for Dan, I think the injuries have kind of taken his opportunity away from him. He's now playing at Rotherham again. Wasn't he there last season and he got injured, came back to the club, and then it all got a bit weird. And now he's back there again. I think he played at the weekend, played okay. But I don't think Dan Gore's going to get the opportunity at United anymore. Someone down there, we need win-backs. Stephen, you're saying Wilcox lives by it. A serious worry. Are you talking about data? Well, look, if you want to use and talk about data, then you point towards Brighton, the absolute kings of it. Brighton's entire modern transfer model is built on data. And you could probably argue that Brighton have had the most success at it, haven't they? I think so. Quite a few of you are mentioning about Vitek. I'll tell you a couple of videos we've got coming up. I think I mentioned this yesterday. Really enjoying the sort of what's happening series and what's actually happening series that we've started on this channel, kind of accidentally. But now it just gives me the ability to do videos on specific players in ways I probably couldn't do them before. Because, like, if you were just to do a loan watch video, no one really wants to watch a loan watch video. I'm going to talk about this, by the way. Premier League big spenders next. So we've got one coming out ideally on Thursday. Actually, on Saturday. Well, if you do, unfortunate. But on Saturday, going to be doing one on Shea Lacey, and then next week, hopefully doing one on Radek Vitek. And I think you'll enjoy these videos across the course of the season. We've just done one on Diego Leon. I think we did one before that on Mason Mount. During the preseason, I remember doing one on Lisandro Martinez and sort of how his injury is getting on. By the looks of it, remember this, but wouldn't be surprised to see Martinez back in the squad during this next set of games coming up. Right? And you're talking about Wilcox living for data and Vivell being the eye test. It's the combo. You need that combo. Salt and pepper. Although salt on its own is pretty good. Haven't done anything on Kone just yet because we're waiting to see what happens with his injury. All right. That's what I mean. Like you could name quite a lot of players here and it gets quite exciting. Definitely going to be doing one on JJ Gabriel in a few months' time just to see how he's getting on. Maybe do one on Amir Ibrahimov as well in his season so far with the under-18s. And then there's other first-team players you could do it onto. Anyway, let's look at this, right? Who are the Premier League's biggest spenders? And it really is nuts that Liverpool, as reigning champions, spent 418 mil. I mean, that is already a record, I think, isn't it? I think it is. I think that's the most ever spent. If you look at United's down here, the numbers are a little bit different to the numbers I had. Do we have the whiteboard still up? We do. So that's the numbers I had down. 213 mil out and 82 mil in. And the Athletic, I've got it down as 217 mil out and 64 mil in. Where's that difference? What have I got down here? 44 Garnacho. Sure, no. They just got their numbers wrong. I think the Athletic have just got their numbers wrong, don't they? Because look, we definitely got 40 mil for Garnacho. We've got 21.7 for Anthony. We got a 5 mil loan fee for Højlund. And then we had the Alvaro Elanga and Oyedele add-ons. All in all, I think my numbers are actually better. Yeah. Go on. 418 mil, though. You bastards. Anyway, this is what the Athletic is saying about January. Midfield's a glaringly obvious choice, of course. That is still too early for United to... Although whether that is still too early for United to revive their pursuit of Baleba remains to be seen. Yeah. I'll be totally honest. It kind of... Now that I've watched it again, it kind of feels like Fabrizio is... I'm not saying shooting in the dark. But he's saying that United are going to be signing a midfielder in 2026. All right, man, you're giving yourself 2 transfer windows there. Because, of course, we'll sign a midfielder in 2026. This is still United's obvious main aim. But if it's going to happen in January, then it has to happen in January. Right. Edward, you're saying they're missing the money we got from the sell-on fees. I think that's what they're missing. Did Andres Pereira move to Palmeiras? Don't know. Rex, you're saying the selling difference is down to the sell-on clauses. They wouldn't be factored into a net spend calculation. Ah, good old net spend. I'm glad. I say I'm glad the transfer window is over. It's still not quite over, is it? We're waiting for the Onana one. We're waiting for a surprise Malacia one. And the conversations have already started about January. What are you saying down here? Now, I wouldn't ever say that the Athletic is anywhere near the TalkSport level. I was really disappointed. I was like one of those parents. I'm not angry, just disappointed. Was it Nick Miller doing a 500-600 word article on I've just watched Ruben Amorim at a game of football? Now, what'd you do at the weekend, Nick? Yeah, you saw the United game. How'd they play? I got no idea. I just stared at a manager walking up and down for 90 minutes and wrote an article on it. You know what? Huh? New match of the day segment. Manager watch. Look at him chewing that gum. Whoa, great technique. 2 sticks. Crazy. Right. To wrap up today's show, I want to have a little conversation about this. The Hall of Fame. The latest nominees for the Hall of Fame came out. United have got 7 on the list. Carrick, Vidic, Sheringham, Evra, Neville, Owen. You're stretching putting Owen there. And Van der Sar. And you can choose 2 of them, right? Fire yours in the chat. Who am I going to choose? Who have I got? Carrick, Vidic, Sheringham, Evra, Neville. Well, Neville's number 1. I bet you got to log in. Oh, no, you don't. There you go. I voted. Right, there's Neville. How do I choose someone else? Vote again. I'm going for Neville and Vidic, Van der Sar, or Evra. I'll let you choose this one, right? Choose this one. Start a poll. Choose one. And you can only choose one. Vidic, Van der Sar, Evra. And someone's mentioning it down there, Johnny, right? I was speaking with the lads about this yesterday, right? Ryan Giggs. Record appearance holder for Manchester United. The most decorated player in Premier League history. And I saw Adam McCullough speak about it yesterday. It's like, because of everything that happened off the pitch with Giggs, it's almost like Ryan Giggs doesn't exist. And I really, really am thinking of doing a proper kind of feature-length documentary on this. I think I've said this to you already, like the ambition of what I'd like to do this season. Most of the content we do on here is quite short on United People's TV, isn't it? Like the afternoon videos are like 8-9 minutes, there or thereabouts. Sometimes the mini docs get to about 10, 11, 12 minutes. I want to produce 3 videos this season at least that are 20 minutes plus. Almost like you're watching a little mini TV episode. And I really want to do one, I think, on Ryan Giggs. It's something I'm thinking about. Anyway, let me see what you're saying down there in the poll. 350 votes are in. 65% of you going Van der Sar. So 65% of you saying Vidic. 30% are saying Van der Sar. And 5% are saying Evra. Well, there you go. The community has spoken. Nemanja. In you go. So that's our two choices. I'm not exactly upset at that. Gary Neville and Vidic. And Giggs was my 2 favourite players when I grew up were Giggs and Solskjaer. Giggs because he was a left footer and I played left midfield as well. I could run about 4.3% as fast as Giggs. And Solskjaer because I was a sub a lot of the time, right? I'm a player who won Most Improved Player of the Year. That tells you all you need to know about my footballing ability. But yeah, genuinely thinking about, I think if I was to do a video on Ryan Giggs, I would present it from a really neutral perspective. because it is so curious to how he's just been like wiped from Premier League and United's history. No one ever speaks about him. And we know why, because of everything that happened in his personal life. I think it might be worth a well-written and well-researched doc. Yeah, anyway, wrap that one up. So we got Neville and Vidic. Someone down there saying, Sam, can we have a deep dive on Cantona? Hey, look, we'll definitely do a video on Cantona. And fire in your ideas now in the chat. We'll do a video on Cantona, but the important thing is to find out the right way to do a video on Cantona, because there's no point just doing a video on Cantona that you've seen 30 times before on like Sky Sports or ESPN or anything like that. It's about finding a fresh way to approach a Cantona conversation, to try and sort of bring it into a modern setting and then go back and have a conversation. G-Sun Park, I really want to do one on G. Might do that in the future. Duncan Edwards, you're going really far back there. Duncan Edwards is probably going to be the sort of style of content that I'd love to do in something that I'm hoping to be able to unveil for all of you towards the end of the season. It's the big next step in United People's TV and sort of what we're doing. And it'll be quite a big shift, but I think an exciting one. Someone talking about Irwin. Right, anyway, I'm going to wrap that one up. Thank you all for getting involved. If you are new here, please make sure you subscribe. My lunchtime video is going to be sort of an extension of the conversation on Baleba and United, because there's something I think that needs to be said. I think it's pretty obvious. But anyway, needs to be put down. And you're talking about you'd like to see a video focusing on Cantona's struggles, given we know all the glossy parts. And now you're sort of thinking like me. Now you're sort of thinking about an interesting story that maybe hasn't had too much of a spotlight. I think Cantona used to live in council digs when he first moved to Manchester. Then there's stuff like this, little nuggets of information. You go, I never knew that. And how much research can you do to try and make that into an interesting story? It's like the Roma game, for example. It's one of the favourite videos that we've ever done on this channel. Everyone knows about that 7-1 against Roma. Everyone knows about the goals that Carrick scored. But did anybody really remember about all the hooligan fights that happened in Rome and all the stuff that happened here, and the fact that that was actually Ronaldo's first ever Champions League goal? Not really. So by bringing that new information, you can then approach a nostalgic thing like that, but come with a fresh perspective. And I think that's what made that video do well. And yeah, I suppose I'm giving you an insight into how my mind works. Thank you all for tuning in. I'll be here at lunchtime as always, and here tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Take it easy.